Okay, so let me welcome you guys to Accounting 100. My name is Debbie Johnson. You'll see Giselle Delgadillo. She is our embedded tutor. Giselle is an amazing student. She's a first-generation college student. She is the president of some various clubs on campus. She's very active in the campus community. And she shared a very heartwarming post on the first discussion post of the semester. She battles and struggles with some of the same things that we may be struggling with. So one of the reasons that I love these discussion posts is because it gives us a chance to meet the classmates that we're going to be spending the next 6 weeks with. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, there is a discussion post that's due this week. The initial post is due by Thursday. That's how you're going to let me know that you're in the class and participating. And you can read it on your own, but basically you're going to tell the class about yourself as much as you feel comfortable sharing. And within that post, you're going to put 3 numbered items about yourself. And one of those items, you're going to make up something that's not true. And the rest of us are going to try and guess what your untruth is by asking you questions. It's just a way of having an icebreaker. It's a way to get to know those students that we're going to be working with for the entire semester. And we usually have fun doing it. And also I get to know more about my students in an online format sometimes than I would get to know about them in a traditional face-to-face contact. So I hope you guys will participate and have a little fun while we're at it. So to introduce myself, my name is Debbie Johnson. I am a CPA. I believe I'm starting my 31st year with Cerritos College, which just blows me away. I love what I do. There's not a day where I don't look forward to coming into the classroom. Even short vacations make me a little bit anxious because I am a workaholic. I'm not proud to say that, but I'm a workaholic. I love what I do. And so hopefully that will come through in our lectures this semester. I am from the area that most of you are from. I grew up right behind Cerritos College. My mom would kill me if she heard me say this, but you can actually hop the fence into my old house's backyard from one of the Cerritos College parking lots. I went to Gar High School, which is literally just down the street from where the college is located. Cerritos College has been like a second home to me. I am one of 3 generations of instructors there. My mom taught business communications. I teach accounting and finance full-time. My daughter teaches economics classes there part-time. She teaches full-time at another college. So teaching is something that I feel like I was born to do. And again, hopefully that will come out. I graduated from Cal State Fullerton. I am a licensed CPA in the state of California. If any of you are interested or become interested in becoming a CPA, I'd be happy to share that journey with you. I have 2 children who are grown. My daughter, as I mentioned, teaches, and my son is, well, I used to say ex-Marine, but he corrects me that you're never an ex-Marine, you're a Marine for life. But he is now out of the Marines, works in cybersecurity. And I'm married to my husband of 7 years. Prior to that, he was my best friend of 20 years. You guys can see pictures on my website. And that's probably enough boring stuff about me because it's not about me, it's about you guys. So Giselle is our embedded tutor. I'm going to have her introduce herself. She is going to be more than helpful to anyone that needs a little bit of extra help with the homework. So Giselle, you have the floor.
Hi everyone, my name is Giselle. I kind of already introduced myself in the discussion post, so if you guys want to go read that. I look forward to getting to know all of you. Feel free to message me for anything. Really easy to get a hold of. You can text me or send me an email. I check my emails more, but if you guys want to text, that's amazing too. I'll include my phone number and my email in the chat for you guys, but it's also in the modules link and in the discussion post.
Yeah, and we're fortunate to have Giselle because this class goes by so fast that if you have a homework question, now you have the opportunity to get a hold of either her or I and get some help. Giselle will have stated tutoring hours. We are waiting for her to get her Zoom link created. We're hoping for today. And those hours will be posted by the end of today. So do you guys have any questions for either one of us?
As of the moment, no.
Okay, Then let's make sure we are muted so we don't hear the background noise. And I'm going to get started then. Again, you guys feel free to interrupt me at any time. Giselle, when I share my screen, I lose the chat room, so you'll monitor that. By the way, speaking of the chat room, Giselle's contact information is in the chat room. I would encourage every single person right now that's watching this live or that's watching this online, record that in your phone, because you never know when you it might be 5 o'clock on Sunday and you're just totally lost on a homework problem. You can contact either one of us. We both have regular hours. We'll post those shortly, but both of us are always pretty good about working around your schedule. And we understand that you may not be able to make it to a morning office hour. That's when you want to contact us via email and we can set something up. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go take a look at the course materials. Oops. And of course, you guys are always, you can always ask questions as they come up. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at the syllabus. And the reason this is so important is because this is our contract for the semester. And so if there's anything that this hasn't covered, or you're wondering, do I really want to take this class? Then this would be the place that we want to make sure we get our understanding straight with each other. So where I found this is on the Canvas link off to the side, there's something that says syllabus. So there's two documents that I want to focus on today. The syllabus, which is our contract for the year, and then the schedule of activities that I'll look at in just a minute. That's like our roadmap. In fact, both of these are so important that I would print them out. And I realize that you all may not have the ability to print in your house. These would be documents that would be worthwhile to save on a USB drive and take it over to Kinko's or something and print them out, because these are pretty important. So first thing is, I will not keep you 2 hours today. My hope is that you'll use the time to get your textbook, to get onto the Connect homework site, and that you'll take the chance to, or take the opportunity to explore the introductory module today. So I will not be keeping you the full time. If you can't be in the live Zoom, then you always have the ability to watch the tape recordings. They usually take about an hour to upload. So some of you may have a lunch break. I would hope that they would be posted by then. And so the syllabus starts off by reminding you that summer courses go 3 times faster than regular semester length courses. And that means that you really can't afford to take a day off. If you're one of these students that waits till the weekend to look at your schoolwork because maybe you're working full time, you're going to be challenged, because accounting involves sequential learning. That means, I think of building a pyramid, right? And it means that if you don't have those necessary blocks on the bottom of the pyramid, the rest just kind of comes imploding in. And so this is one of those, this is one of those classes where you're going to have to watch the recorded lecture several times throughout the week, because you can't do chapter 2 stuff until you've mastered chapter 1 stuff, and so on. So this is an introduction to accounting. I would say that after you take this class, you would be ready to go into an introductory level accounting clerical type position. And one of the things we'll talk about today are some careers in accounting that you may never have even thought about. I will tell you that I never in my wildest imagination dreamed I would be one of those, what I considered boring accountants. I was an engineering major, and when I took I think it was my 3rd semester of calculus, I decided this is not something I want to do. I hated it, did not do well in it, and so made the decision that I'm going to try something else. Kind of stumbled my way into a business classroom. I knew nothing about accounting except for the stereotypical old guy with big bubble Coke bottle glasses. And in that classroom, I learned that there was a whole world out there that I didn't know anything about. I'm logical. I like problem solving, and that led itself very well to the skill sets needed to be an accountant. So many students are afraid of the math. They think they have to be a math whiz to do well in accounting. And what I will assure you right now, that the toughest math that you will do in this classroom is multiply by a decimal when we're calculating taxes. And we have our calculators to do that. So if mathematics is a concern of yours, you can put that to rest. Most of accounting is more logic than it is math-based. So don't hesitate to contact either Giselle or I if you're feeling anxious or nervous or you don't know how to set up a study session for yourself. These are all things that both Giselle and I have worked really hard at mastering, and we'll be happy to share our study techniques. So I've been talking a long time already. Does anybody have any questions so far, just after talking about what accounting is and isn't? You can just unmute yourself and ask away. Or Giselle, you can take a look at that chat room.
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay, so in this class, here's what accounting is right here. I'm highlighting it. You're going to learn to analyze, record, and summarize basic business transactions. So what many people don't realize is every single business has to have some type of an accounting system. From the smallest little, I have a plumber here this morning, from the smallest little plumbing business to the most sophisticated businesses in the world, everyone has to have a way to financially track what's going on in the business. And that's what accounting attempts to do. It's an information system. So what we're going to be doing all semester long is analyzing, recording, and summarizing. So that's a pretty good summary of what an accounting information does. We'll learn to use this thing called a worksheet. We'll learn to do adjustments. We're going to learn in the first test, about 3 basic financial statements that we're going to focus on for the entire semester. We're going to start off learning about a service-oriented business, okay, like a plumber. That plumber is exchanging his services for cash. I'll have to pay him. And then in the second half of the class, we'll focus on a merchandising business, a business that sells goods, not services. And the whole objective of this class is to prepare you for the transfer level class, which is called Accounting 101, Financial Accounting. Then I go on to tell you that I understand some of the dilemmas that students go through because I myself am a student. And as long as I'm a CPA, I will be a student because I have to take so many units of professional education, 80 hours every other year. That's a lot of time. I always try and take courses that are new to me. Sometimes it'll be refreshers on things I already know, but I still enjoy learning and studying different topics. So if you're in class, we will be in here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from approximately 9 to 11, except on exam days. On exam days, you guys have the whole day to take, you have 24 hours to take the test. We will not meet in class on those days. Those are devoted to you preparing yourself for the test. The next section on the syllabus talks about departmental learning outcomes. I'll let you guys read those on your own. I have to put them in there. We'll cover these as we go throughout the semester. There's nothing you need to do other than complete the homework and quizzes to master the content. One thing that we do have to take care of today is we have to get this textbook in your hands because we're jumping in tomorrow and starting work. And again, I'll use that analogy of that pyramid. We're going to start laying down the basis of that bottom foundation for that pyramid. And if that bottom foundation is not secure, the rest is just going to come crumbling in. So you cannot wait to get your textbook. So you have several options, and I don't want anybody walking out of class today without having an exact idea of how to get the textbook. So there's basically 2 choices. The first choice is that you can go to the campus bookstore and purchase the book. However, the campus bookstore is not open right now. And so if you're one of these people that wants to have a hard book in your hands, it's actually hard copy in your hands, then you can order one of these from the bookstore. And I did pull up the cost. The cost is $102.75. That includes a loose leaf book. That's like the kind that you would put in a notebook, along with the Connect Access. So I also looked at the bookstore's hours, and you'll see that they are closed. They are not allowing people to come in other than to pick up the books that you order. And so I'll let you work that out with them. The way that you can get to this site is you put cerritos.edu/bookstore in. I would not recommend this because it would probably take you 2 to 3 days to get your book, I'm thinking. What I'm going to suggest you do is that you buy that online or ebook, and I'll show you where it is, and then I'll go back to my syllabus. So if I go to my home page, because this is probably what most of you will see when you go into Canvas, you go, everything that we're going to be doing is in the modules link here. So I'm going to go to modules. And right here, what is that? 3 down from the top, there's directions on how to register on the Connect site. And I believe it's $77, so it's a lot cheaper than the physical book. That does include access to the Connect website. It's a very short video on how to register, so I am going to watch that during class time. That way you guys can ask me any questions. So in the video, you're going to see the student learner click on the assignments link. And once you click on the assignments link, that's going to give you the option on how to purchase this ebook. One more thing I want to say before I jump into that Connect site is that if you can't afford a book, right? Because I remember very well what it was like being a starving student. If you can't afford a book this week, then you still need to register, and they offer a 2-week free access where you can get into Connect and have that access for 2 weeks before it expires. So you got to purchase a textbook at some point, but if you're short on funds, and I know I was always short on funds when I was a student, then that's an option for you to get that complimentary 2-week pass. So before I watch this, does anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself.
Elise said that the mobile app of McGraw is convenient for anyone wanting to listen to the textbook on the go.
Okay, good to know. So the mobile app would probably be good to like listen to them read the ebook. What it's not very conducive to, though, is trying to do homework assignments, especially on a small mobile device. So that's a really good point. I'm glad someone brought that up. But be really careful about doing your homework on a mobile device because the homework screens can be very cumbersome. I can't fathom doing my homework on a phone. I know some people do it, but I don't recommend that. Anything else, Giselle?
No.
Okay, this is only a couple minutes long. I think it's worth our time. So I'm going to go to the modules link and we're going to watch this very short video.
Hey everyone, my name is Ari and I'm a student ambassador with McGraw-Hill. I'm here to tell you a little more about Connect, which may be required for this course and part of your grade. I'll show you how to get registered, but first let's take a closer look at Connect and what you'll get when you register. After you register for Connect, you'll get access to a bunch of amazing learning tools that you can't find anywhere else. You'll get a digital version of the course textbook, but unlike a typical ebook, this one is adaptive, and it will personalize each learning session to your needs, helping you study more efficiently. You'll also get a digital course planner and calendar to help you stay organized, and reports that will help you track your grades and performance so you'll always know how you're doing and what you'll need to study before that big exam. Time to get registered. I'll walk you through the process. It's super quick and easy. By the way, it's great that you're registering now. Students who have access to their course materials on the first day of class actually perform better than those who don't. So let's get started. Log into your Canvas account and navigate to your course. If you are not sure if you have a Canvas account, check with your instructor. Now you'll want to find the Connect assignment link. It can be listed under the assignments or modules in the left navigation area. Once you have found it, click Begin to start the registration process. On this screen, you will enter in your email address, then click Begin. I recommend using your school email address so that all of your courses are in one Connect account. If you receive the message, you have a Connect account, but have forgotten your password, click Forgot Password. Otherwise, it will take you to the account information page where you can create a new account, enter in your first name and your last name, password, and set up a security question in case you need to reset your password. If you would like to receive text alerts, you can enter your mobile number as well. Agree to the terms and conditions and then click Continue. You can get exactly what you need purchasing Connect directly from McGraw-Hill. You have 3 registrations.
Okay, I want you guys to pay attention to this. We'll go back and listen to her, but there's going to be 3 options on here. The temporary access, if you don't have the funds to afford a book right now, is going to be the last option that she talks about. So one way or the other, we need to get you on the Connect site today. So you can either, if you have the funds, purchase the book and just take care of it today. Or if you're still trying to figure out whether you're going to take the class or funds are short, you're going to do this 3rd option. So I'm going to put her back on and ask questions afterwards. And by the way, this video is in the modules link so that if you want to watch it again slower or you need to stop and take some notes, that option will be there too. So let's finish up.
Registration options. If you have already purchased a Connect access code, you can enter it here by clicking Redeem under Use Connect Code. Or you can purchase access with either a credit card or PayPal by clicking the appropriate Buy It button. McGraw-Hill also offers temporary access. Select Access now for temporary 2-week access. Since I have an access code, I'm going to enter it in the access code field and click Redeem to register. Then I'll confirm my access. Thanks for registering. Should you need any additional help now or in the future, McGraw-Hill has an awesome customer service team available weekdays and on the weekend at the times listed on your screen.
I would also, if you watch this video, I would take a picture of that. You never know when you're going to get into a McGraw-Hill site and maybe experience some technical difficulties, your test won't open, something crazy like that happens. It's always a good idea to have a technical support number in your phone. By the way, all of our accounting classes use the McGraw-Hill textbooks, so this information won't just be useful for our class, it'll be useful for any class that you take here at Cerritos College. So you might want to consider maybe even taking a snapshot of that screen. And that's what I did. I took a snapshot and I have it in my phone under McGraw-Hill's technical support.
After you've registered, make sure you download the McGraw-Hill Read Anywhere app from the App Store or Google Play. The Read Anywhere app lets you read your course ebook offline and data-free, helping you study anytime, anywhere. Check it out. Thanks for listening today and good luck this term.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on how they would go about getting direct access to the book and homework site at all? This is like the most important question I'm probably going to ask you today.
Ulises asked, is it okay if I registered and purchased the ebook plan with a different email other than my school email?
Yes, so you can use any email you want. Just be consistent, because if we have several emails, you're going to have courses all over the place and you may forget where they are. So you do not have to use a student email. Just be consistent on the email that you use for Connect and other type of academic sites. You do not have to have a Cerritos College email. Really good question. Anybody else have any questions?
There's no more questions in the chat, but I included a screenshot of the McGraw-Hill contact information.
Awesome. So you guys can download her screenshot in the chat room, or you can watch the video again and just take a snapshot and save it in your phone. But you never know when you're going to need technical support. I was traveling this week and needed some help with the snafu that was happening in one of my classes. It's really easy to pull it up on the phone and click a button. So I would get that into my phone somehow. So one of the major requirements that you do today is to get into the Canvas course, which we're in right now, and grab that Connect access. If you're short on funds, you're going to do that temporary access. But one way or the other, I need to have everybody in that site. There is a graded assignment that is due. I think it's due by tonight. It's a quick video assignment. So again, how do you access it? You go to the assignments link, click on the first assignment, and that'll be what launches the process to get registered on Connect. Anybody else have any questions on that? Because that's a priority today. No. Okay. Giselle, if you see anything else come up. So we got the textbook covered. It comes with Connect Access. They come together as a package. Somebody asked me a question before class. Don't get a used book, because the Canvas part of that, the Connect code that comes with it, will be used and you'll be forced to buy another book. So I wish I knew exactly how long that the school takes for you to pick up your books. I don't know if they do them in 24 hours, 48 hours. That would be a concern of mine. If it takes a week for you to get your book through the bookstore, it's not going to be worth it. You should go with that ebook option. I'm 56 years old, by the way. I still like to have a physical book in my hand to read, to write. So if you're someone that falls in that category, you may want to go get the bookstore option. And in the meantime, just use that temporary access until you can get your books from the store. I do believe the ebook also allows you to highlight. It's just for older people like me. It's just not the same. But you guys will have to make that choice. All right, there is no prerequisite. You just need to be able to read, and we got to learn to develop some good study habits. And I want to be talking quite a bit this semester on developing good study habits, because my goal is not only to expose you to the field of accounting, but it's also to help you transfer. And I've had lots of students come my way that are first generation students. You may not have parents that can guide you in that case if they've never been through a university system. So you guys should look at Giselle and I as another extension. As I get called all the time, you're too much of a mom to your students. Okay, so be it. But sometimes somebody needs a little bit of mothering advice as we go. Giselle is your peer. She's your age. I've watched Giselle struggle with becoming a serious student. And the great news is not only has she become a serious student, accounting student, she's now taking on leadership roles that you can read about in her introductory. So don't be afraid to ask her questions on how do you study or how do you do an outline. That's why she's there. And that's why I'm here to help you guys on your academic journey. Okay, so we talked about that short video. There's a red sentence here that says access to the Canvas site. Whoops, did not mean to do that. Access to the Canvas site is mandatory. It's not something that's optional. It's something that all of you need to do. I need to get back to the place. I just lost my place. Warning on that courtesy access code, use it, but it's only good for 2 weeks. So don't get yourself getting locked out right before something is due. So whenever you access that temporary access, put a note on your calendar for 2 weeks out that your access is going to expire and you need to make that payment. Other supplies, this is important. Office 365 is a free program that you guys have access to. Hopefully you saw it in the introductory module that you reviewed. I'm going to be using Excel to do a lot of our homework problems on. You do not have to be an Excel wizard. You can do all your problems by hand if you wish, but the way I've set the class up is all the problems I've copied into Excel, and we're going to be working through a lot of those problems starting tomorrow. And so to get the Office 365 package, you do need a Cerritos College email address. So someone asked, do I have to use my school email address for the Connect? No, you don't. But if you do want to access this Office 365, you got to get that Cerritos College email address. And there are instructions on how to do that. That gives you access to Word, to Excel, to PowerPoint, and a bunch of other programs. We'll be using Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So I wanted you to take care of that prior to the first day of class. If you haven't yet done that, those again are questions that Giselle or I can help you answer. Does anybody have any questions on that, on Office 365?
Okay, thank you. And Ulysses, as a question, he asked, will we have binder checks?
No. So binder checks are not something I do. And what he meant by binder checks, or he or she, I didn't hear the name, what that person meant by binder checks, there are some instructors that will make you keep a formal binder of your homework. And there's some instructors that will go through your binder, making sure that you've done everything by hand. I'm not one of those. We're in an online environment, and if you don't do the work yourself, it will show up on a test. So I do not do binder checks. Great question. Any other questions?
Not a question, Professor, but I did the Office 365, and it was pretty easy. I just go into the Cerritos portal, because in the beginning I was lost. But then I just followed instructions, went into the Cerritos portal, and it says over there, student Gmail, and it gives you like 5 options. One of them, it's Office 365. Just click in there, register your email, and that was it. You'll get full access.
Good to hear. I'm glad you mentioned that, so that students won't shy away. And that is something that costs probably $100, maybe more. So that's a really good benefit that they give Cerritos College students. Anybody else? Okay, this is important. Today is the first day, so I didn't really expect too much out of you. But going forward, you're going to have to come to class prepared. And what I mean by that is you should read the chapter prior to the day it's discussed. If you're using the temporary access, I'm not sure if you have access to the actual ebook or not. If you don't, the PDF files are on my website in the Canvas area. I'll show them to you. They're set up for the first few chapters, so that if for some reason you don't get access to the ebook, that's no reason not to read the chapter, because I have placed those in the various modules link, which I'll show you. So coming prepared to class means you should have read the chapter. So I hope you guys hear this. Chapters 2 and 3 are the most important chapters of the whole semester. They're going to create that first foundational building block in our pyramid. So we got to find a way for you guys to read chapter 1's very short. Chapter 2, I need you to read that before the next class, because when we come back tomorrow, we're going to jump right in and start working through the exercises and problems. And if you don't get chapter 2 down, there's no way that you can pass the class. That's how important it is. So what I want you guys to do is not only sign on to the Connect website, not only get your Office 365 thing set up so that you can download the Excel files next time, but I want you to read chapter 1 and 2. 1 is short, 2 is not. Then I would encourage you to take a look at the Smart Book. We'll take a look at that shortly. And there is a short orientation video on how to use the product. That's due tonight. You'll see it in the assignments link. It's the very first assignment. I think it's worth 10 points. And it's just going to give you some background on how this thing is going to work. So that's going to bring me to a schedule of assignments that I'm going to show you in a minute. Right now, we're going through this contractual agreement that you and I are agreeing with, that we're going to fulfill these requirements during the semester. Any questions on the syllabus up to page 3? Just unmute yourself. Giselle, you want to keep an eye on that chat room?
Yeah, Ulises asked, can we also access assignments through the modules page for McGraw-Hill?
I think it's the very first time you access it, you're going to do it from the assignments link. After that, you can probably do it either through the assignments or through the modules link. But the very first time, hitting that assignments link is going to launch you. The other way to answer that question, you guys also have what's called a calendar feed. It shows you what assignments are coming up due. You can also click through the calendar feed on what's due, and it will take you there as well. So there's several options on getting in there. Okay. Giselle, one more time in the chat room. I think I may have seen it light up.
Ulises said thank you.
Oh, no problem. Okay, discussion post. This is the other thing that's going to verify that you're going to attend the class. Our first discussion post, we're going to have one each week. The initial post is going to be due by Thursday night. And then after you do that, you'll reply to at least 2 classmates by Sunday night. How do you get to those discussion posts? On the left-hand side of Canvas, you'll see discussions. So you'll click that. In fact, let me go ahead and show you that. So here's my front page. I'm going to go to discussions. And you'll see several things here. The graded discussion post is right here. That's where Giselle introduced herself. I've been replying to everybody that's posted. We're learning a little bit about each other and having a little bit of fun. The second thing I want to show you while I'm here, Giselle will be posting her class notes right here to contributions from the class. So what that means is as we work through the problems in the book, if you maybe aren't able to keep up, or wow, that went too fast, or maybe you're the type of learner that just wants to listen and not write a bunch down, then Giselle's files will be here in the contributions from the class. That's where she's going to be posting her files. The other option while I'm in the discussion post, if you guys have a question and maybe it's something that you don't feel comfortable, like I am like the least intimidating instructor you'll ever meet. I have never gotten upset with a student unless I can say that except for cheating. I get upset, but I've never gotten upset with any student for ever asking a question. But maybe you just say, I don't want to bother her with that. Or maybe Giselle said, you know, she's out Saturday, she can't answer questions. You guys can come in here and post a question to your classmates. So, and you guys can answer each other. So for example, maybe I read chapter 2 and I'm not sure about what an asset is. You could go in here and you could post a question to your classmates, and all you do is hit reply here. And maybe you write in, hey class, I'm not exactly sure what an asset is. Could somebody explain it to me? Or I'm having trouble with the third homework question. Can someone explain to me how you got the answer for letter A? And anybody in the class can write back. So we're a community of learners here. Now, what I don't want to see anybody do is cut and paste answers, right? That's called cheating. We don't do that. But there's no problem with asking a question of any of us in this classroom, and feel free to answer back. Now, I do keep my eye on this, but if you have something specifically for me, you need to email myself or email Giselle. But if you have a question that you're just looking for help from anybody, if it's Sunday night at 10 o'clock, I'm not up. And I don't know about Giselle, but she probably isn't either. But there's probably 4 or 5 people in the class that might be working on their homework then. So that might be a time to post a question to your classmates and get help that way. So any other questions on those discussion posts? Okay, we talked about the homework site. This is a class where you must do homework. So if you're somebody that's on the fence about, wow, I don't really know if I feel like taking this summer class, it's really fast paced, you got to be doing homework in a summer class that's 6 weeks long, pretty much 3 to 4 days out of the week if you want to keep current. So if you're one of those students that just don't do well at homework, I use that because I've heard that excuse. I'm not a homework type of person. You're not going to do well in any accounting class because we have to practice and practice and practice and practice. It would be like a baseball player just wanting to show up in the game and do well on a game day. It doesn't happen that way. You got to practice, you got to make your mistakes. And when you do that, then you're ready to play in the game. Then you're ready to take the exam. But we got to practice. We'll be taking a look at a schedule. All the assignments are due by midnight of the due dates that have been prescribed. Giselle, you want to check the chat room?
Yes, Elise's asked if they can utilize your Cerritos email located on the school website to contact you.
Yes. So the best thing to do is to use the Canvas messaging because I get those a lot faster. But you can also email me at my email address that is on my regular website. It's also on the Canvas website. Either way, you'll get a hold of me. Giselle knows that I am a workaholic. I probably check my email 20 times a day, probably. So I will get back to you. If I don't get back to you, I'm either dead or I didn't get it. So if you don't get a reply from me, please ask me again after a couple hours. Now, that doesn't mean you send an email at 2 in the morning. Don't expect a reply by 5 in the morning. I'm talking like normal business hours. So I will answer every email that I get. So if you don't get a reply from me, it means I didn't get it or it went into spam or something. Okay, if you have taken Accounting 100 before, I need to make sure that your Connect access has not expired. So the first time you get into Connect, it will tell you what day your access expires. If you see that it's in the middle of our semester, I need to know that today. Because I need to send an email to the publisher saying, Giselle had this class in spring of such and such a year. Can we please get her course renewed? And so if you have enrolled in Accounting 100, maybe you took it a year and now you're just ready to try it again, you need to find out when your access expires so that I can get it extended for you. And the way I will do that is with an email from you that says course taken previously in the subject line. I need that first day of class. Any questions on that?
Elisa's asked if they can contact you through the course chat.
So I'm doing 100 things during a live lecture. So the course chat's probably not the best way to contact me because I'm dealing with multiple students, probably 20 different open tabs on my computer. So email me. That would be much better than chatting. Chatting, I sporadically will go into. You guys also have the ability to chat also live with your classmates within Canvas. I typically don't monitor that because I have so much going on that I just don't get around to that. So emails are better. All right, here's the suggestion for completing the homework. And this probably is not going to make a whole lot of sense until tomorrow when we start our chapter 2 homework. But I would print out the blank homework from Connect. I would write out the solutions by hand on a piece of paper. Some of us are going to get used to shortcuts. There's things called drop-down boxes. It's kind of like a multiple choice question where you just click on what you think the answer is. We don't make that hand-to-brain connection when we do our homework that way. So what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is print out the homework if you have a printer. If you don't, write out the homework on a piece of paper, solve the homework on a piece of paper, and then go input your answers and let the Connect site be like an answer checker for your homework. I would strongly encourage you to do that. And we'll talk about this more when we get into our first homework assignment from chapter 2. Homework is a learning tool. Okay, what does that mean? It means I want you to try it as many times as you want. There is a check my work button in there where you can check your work as many times as you want. Some instructors put 3 as a limit. They only let you check your work 3 times. I'm not one of them. I want you to check your work as often as you need to feel comfortable with that. And we'll demonstrate that again tomorrow when we try the chapter 2 homework. If you encounter problems completing the homework, come to my office hour, which is right before class. I believe Giselle is going to have a Zoom hour right before class. I'll get those times to you shortly. Or if you can't meet right before class, maybe you're not an early morning person, then either Giselle or I will make arrangements to meet with you at a time that's convenient for you. You just need to communicate with us so we can set that up. All right, so how does this class work? There's homework assignments from each chapter. The homework you can access as many times as you want. You can try it as many times as you want. I would encourage you to try it until you get 100%. Really, there's no excuse for not getting 100% on homework because you have access to help. If you can't get 100%, you should be Zooming with Giselle or I to find out where your mistake is. Then for each chapter, there's unproctored quizzes. That means you don't have to worry about being in front of a camera or anything. But unlike the homework, the quizzes are going to run for a 1-hour timer. They're open notes, open book. You'll need to do them by the due date. And once you get in, you can't leave and go do something else because that timer is going to run for 60 minutes. So once you start it, you got to finish it. I allow everyone to drop their 1 low homework and their 1 low quiz. And then the last thing that you'll do for each chapter is what we call Smart Book or Learn Smart assignments. And you heard the young lady describe to you that it's an adaptive learning program. That means that it knows it will learn what your strengths and weaknesses are. and it will keep feeding you questions on your weaknesses until it's no longer a weakness. Sometimes these take half an hour, sometimes they take an hour. As you get into Accounting 101 and 102, they may take you longer than that. They're fairly easy points because, again, you can do them as many times as you want. They're worth 5 points. I drop your low one. So I drop your low homework, I drop your low quiz, and I drop your low Learn Smart. Questions so far?
Ulysses didn't have a question, but he said a comment. He said the infinite attempts to check one's answer on Connect reminds me of video games. The proposed concept is captivating.
Okay, well, I'm glad. I look to appeal to all kinds of learners, the video learners too. All right, here's the big points. Remotely proctored exams. Okay, what does that mean? There is a program called Proctorio that is built into McGraw-Hill's Connect. It means that you have to have a computer with a webcam in order to proctor the test. I don't look at any of the proctored exams unless I'm flagged to do so, right? So here's what that means. Exams are 100 points. There are no notes. They're closed book, closed notes. And so the webcam is on showing your work site doing the work, and also shows me what websites you may have visited just during the exam time. So the only time I ever go look at those is if I get a flag, like there was all of a sudden 3 people in the room, or all of a sudden the homework site was opened up. So we have to remotely proctor our exams so that they are readily transferable to other universities. If we didn't proctor them, we would have some serious issues when you guys go on and transfer to university environments. So the way that works, there's going to be a one-step click to enable a Chrome extension that's necessary for that Proctorio problem to work. The program is highly secure. It's used by many colleges and universities. As a learner, not as a teacher, but as a learner, I've taken countless tests. I'm not aware that any test I've ever taken has been proctored. Occasionally, I think I had 3 instances this semester where I had to have a talk with a student who left the test site in order to go do something else. But 99% of the time, you forget that the test is remotely proctored. You just do what you're supposed to do and we won't have any problems. The way that I tell students to look at it is if you took your test as if I were sitting right in front of you, we won't have any problems with there being any kind of funny business going on. Any questions on that?
Yes, Professor. I had a question about that. So if we have to write like a side note, like we have a scratch paper and we're writing anything, I mean, is that acceptable?
Yes, so I totally understand that you have scratch paper. What I would encourage you to do is at the start of class, at the start of your test, just hold the paper up. Like I don't have blank paper here, but if this was my scratch paper, I would just show the camera, here's my blank scratch paper. And then I totally expect you guys to be chicken scratching out notes and so forth. That's totally fine. Great question.
Brandy asked, can you use the calculator during the proctored exam?
Yes, ma'am. We will definitely be using calculators during the class. Anybody else? Janet, I'm not sure you got your full question answered. Did you have another question?
No, that was all. Thank you, Professor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Because these are 100-point tests, so I want to get all the questions out in the open.
I do.
Go ahead.
I typed a question and I'm just going to verbally. I have a full house, so there's not always a time where I'm going to be alone in a room. So how will that, I guess you'll just be flagged. How will that affect?
Yes. So Maria, one of the flags I did get last semester was a mom doing her homework and a child came running through the house. Mommy, I need dinner. I need a snack. I forget. So that student just sent me a quick email and what she said in the email was at about 7:05, my daughter ran into the room needing a snack. So sorry. Okay. Sure enough, one of the flags came up at 7:05. I just passed on it. So if that's the case, Maria, and you find yourself in a, I think that was Maria that asked the question, in a noisy room, or I get it. I get that we're not under normal testing conditions. It would be if somebody all of a sudden comes in, if Canvas notices a second or third face sitting right in front of your computer screen, that's when I'm going to ask you, hey, what happened here? And I might go look at that flag. 99% of the flags, there's great excuses for. I just pass right through them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Ulysses is asking how you would like to be addressed.
Oh, gosh, you can call me pretty much anything. Professor Johnson's fine. Mrs. Johnson's fine. Debbie Johnson's fine. I am not on a power trip of any kind, so I appreciate you asking that. I'd say most students refer to me as Professor Johnson until they leave my class, and then they call me by my first name after they transfer. That's just what the norm is. Anybody else? Great question. Okay, let's make it through this syllabus. Study suggestions. Here is how I would encourage you guys to study. And again, one of my goals is to teach you how to study if you haven't been exposed to a college course before. And I don't think that's something that I should take for granted. I don't think everybody knows how to study properly for a college course. And so, for example, today after class, I'm going to send you an example of how I outline the chapters when I study for a class. And again, as long as I'm a CPA, I'm going to be a student. So when I read the book, I take notes. And as soon as I'm done reading the book and highlighting the book, I create a class outline for myself. And then I'll go back to that outline. And after I've listened to the lectures, I'm going to go fill that outline in with important things my teacher said. And then by the time test day comes around, I got a great outline to study from because I've captured what's in my book. I've captured what's in my notes. I've practiced my homework. I've taken the quiz. I've done the smart book. If you do all of those things, there's no way that you could not pass the class. In fact, if you do all those bullet points that are just listed there, I can almost guarantee that you're going to be an A or B student because it takes time and it takes discipline. And don't be embarrassed if you don't know how to study. Then I want to see you in my office so we can talk about some strategies. There's also a video on my regular website, it's probably in Canvas also, that talks about how to study for an exam. Questions, Giselle? Anything?
Yes. Ulysses asked, do you take arduous notes when textbook reading?
I do. I do because I want to read the chapter once and only once. In a more complicated class, if there's anything I find myself missing on tests or on quizzes, then I will go upgrade my notes to put down the things that I was weak on and why I missed a question on a quiz. So I do take arduous notes. That's my style. It doesn't necessarily have to be your style. But these notes, I create a study guide for myself at the beginning of every chapter. And then when I go onto the treadmill, I can take my notes and just sit there rather than listening to music, which I will do when I'm trying to relax. If I'm studying for something, I'm going to have my notes and I'm going to either flip through the notes or you'll hear me talk about creating index cards for studying purposes as we go along. That's what you'll find me with when I get on the treadmill or on the elliptical. Okay, here's the grading. So 4 exams at 100 points each. They're all worth the same. The final is not cumulative. There are 12 chapters of homework, but I only count 11. There are 12 chapters of quizzes, but I only count 11. There are 12 Learn Smart modules, but I only count 11. So in other words, everybody is granted a free pass on one of them. I would encourage you to do all of them and just give yourself a break when you mess up on one of them. But if for some reason you can't get your homework finished, maybe you're at the airport too late, or maybe you have a sick child, or something came up, I get it. I don't go in and open these homework assignments. I can't do that for 75 people. So I'll just tell you, well, just use that as your low drop and keep pushing forward. Discussion posts, there are 5 of them at 5 points. We'll be doing a little bit of group participation, 720 points. Straight percentages, I've never had to curve this class down in 20 years. Our embedded tutor, you've met her. Her name's Giselle. She's very helpful. She's going to be a great resource for you guys on how to study, challenges that come up. She's getting ready to transfer to university. She can answer questions on that. And then policy statement, you guys are adults. I shouldn't have to put this in here. Basically, you can't do anything to tick me off except cheat. And that all out wrath comes out of me. I'm an ethical person. I expect ethical integrity inside and outside of the classroom, but inside the classroom is my domain. So as long as you do the work as you're supposed to do, then we won't have any problems. And virtual classroom interruptions. This happens in all classrooms. Sometimes we forget to turn our cell phones off. Sometimes we forget to mute ourselves when we come in. Those things are going to happen from time to time. If it happens every single class, then you and I will have a problem. So I may have to talk to you and say, you know what? Maybe you need to watch the recorded lectures if you can't control your mute button during class. Rarely happens. Last day to drop is June 22nd. I hope that before you make a decision to drop, we have a conversation one-on-one. It drives me crazy that some students will go 3 weeks. They'll put 3 long weeks of working really, really hard into the semester. And then out of the clear blue sky, they may drop because they don't have an A. Okay, you don't have to get an A, and there are ways that we can improve upon the scores that you're getting. All I ask is that we have a live chat on things you can do to improve your scores. If you have a disability, I do too. I have a mild form of dyslexia. I've had to learn to retrain my brain. I am more than willing to work around your disability. So you need to go to the Student Accessibility Services and send me the appropriate paperwork, and we will work around as best as we can any kind of a disability that you may have. Basic needs and securities. If you are facing basic needs, that means you're not sure where your next rent is coming from. You're not sure how you're going to eat next week. Maybe you have other hygiene insecurities because these are really tough times. There are resources for you out there. I would encourage you guys to look at the introductory module with links to that. If you have any trouble finding the resource that you're in need of, let me know, and I'll see if I can help you in that respect. And then, go ahead.
Elisa's asked if you have a set study time every day.
Yes. You mean when I'm a learner? Yes. I make 2 to 3 hour study blocks several times a week when I'm taking a class, and I look at it as a date with myself. In other words, if I have a doctor's appointment, I'm going to keep that appointment and I'm going to be on time, and I'm not going to let anything keep me from that. I look at my study times as set aside times to do nothing but study. Too bad I can't whisk this computer around and show you the sign on my door. Do not disturb, study session. I don't want anybody in the house coming into my office because I need that study time. There is a study hall on campus. I meant to get those hours. I keep waiting for them to open up that library again, but I don't think they've done that yet. So if you need quiet study time, let me know, and I'll be sure to share the campus study hall that they have. They do have Wi-Fi access in there also. What they didn't have last time I looked, they didn't have the ability for you to plug in computers. So if you're going to use that, make sure you come in with a good battery.
I believe now they do.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. Good. My office information. My physical office isn't going to do you any good right now because they're not letting us come in there. So I have a Zoom office. It's in the introductory module. What happens is you click on that Zoom link anytime between 8:15 to 9 a.m., which is right before your class, and you will automatically appear in my office. I was in there today. I didn't have any visitors, which kind of bums me out because then I'm forced to do paperwork and other boring things. So if you want to come in, you have any questions right before class is a great time to come in. My email, somebody asked a question about my email. Put my email in your phone. and you can send me emails anytime. I will tell you this, I'm a morning person, so I'm usually up at 4 or 5 a.m. That means I go to bed early. So don't expect me to be answering emails at 11 o'clock at night because I'm probably not up. Okay, but send me emails to that email address, or you have your Canvas inbox, your Canvas mail, you can do that too. I do have a traditional web page in addition to my Canvas site. You guys can check either one out. They're pretty repetitive. My old traditional website is what I used prior to COVID-19, and I pretty much had to migrate all my stuff into Canvas. And final note, this will be a fun journey. My hope is to teach you more about how money works. And I don't think there's a single person in here that can't learn more about money. I had no idea in college that there was this thing called the stock market that I could participate in. Why? Because my parents weren't educated enough to know about how it works. So they never taught me about it. So I'm all about teaching you guys how money works. My hope is that it will spark an interest for investing, that you will see the companies that you pass by when you go for a drive as opportunities to one day invest, right? I own several businesses, but I don't have time to run a Home Depot. But I know that Home Depot stock has climbed out of control. And I know that if I have a couple $100 saved up, I can share in that. And it's a 100 class, so I can't jump too far into that. But my hope is that every company that you pass on your way into campus or on your way into the bookstore, you'll look as an opportunity of something that you can share in, right? I have stocks in multiple companies. I'm a Starbucks addict. I have to use the word addict because I haven't overcome my addiction yet. So unfortunately, I have to have a Starbucks almost every day. I'm getting better. I was off it for a couple of months, but addicts fall back into their addiction. I'm a Starbucks addict. Instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to go spend $5 on a coffee, I'm looking at, wow, if I look at Starbucks on my phone, there's probably 6 within a couple mile radius. That sounds like something I might want to invest in. That's what I'm hoping to teach you guys through accounting. What do financial statements look like, and how can I use this information to better myself financially? That's my hope for this class. I think that's the end of that long syllabus. Any questions on the syllabus at all?
This isn't a question about the syllabus, but Elises was saying that hopefully crypto will be widely accepted in merchants.
We will see. I just had a friend of mine ask me about cryptocurrencies this weekend. Cryptocurrencies is something that I've taken several classes in. I still don't fully understand how it works. So because of that, I don't invest in things I don't understand. I am not the best person to ask questions about cryptocurrency. I've taken 3 courses. I know a little bit about it, but it seems to change faster than I can keep up with it.
Elises also asked if your email is DL Johnson or DI Johnson.
DL. My middle name is Lynn, so that's where the DL Johnson at cerritos.edu. Good question.
And Diego is asking, do I need the access code for the book?
You need the access code to enter into Connect to do your homework. Whether that comes with access to the ebook, I'm not sure. So I would tell you to get the temporary access, check it out. You have to have Connect access to be in the class. So I think the answer to that's probably yes. All right, here's the second thing I'm going to encourage you guys to print out. This is in the syllabus link. It is our schedule of activities. It is a roadmap that's going to guide and direct everything we do this semester. I'm very organized, so I have every day lined up as to what we're going to do. So you'll see that today we're going to discuss the class syllabus. We've talked about the class requirement. You're going to do a Connect and SmartBook orientation. That is the first and only assignment, I believe, out of chapter 1. So your goal today is to get Connect book access, ebook access, get registered on the Connect site, and to read chapter 1 and do that short Connect and SmartBook orientation. It's in the assignments link. It's worth 10 points, and I believe that it is due by tomorrow night. Here's the due date. I would do it by tonight, just so I could come back and ask questions tomorrow if you guys do have any. I would put these due dates in my cell phone. That's the type of learner that I am. I don't want to be caught off guard. I want to know exactly when anything's due, and I want my cell phone to alert me several days ahead of time. So off on the right-hand side, you'll see discussion post. The first post is due by, I think that's Thursday night. And then the second due date on that, because you have to reply to 2 classmates, is due May 30th. Okay, the homework is listed over here. The due date should be in your phone. And the Learn Smart assignments on the far right need to be in your phone. So any questions on that?
Yes, Professor. My question is, where you have the due date for the homework, are you referring, is that the same thing as a Learn Smart? Because I see you have the 2 there and then a due date only for the homework. So is the homework, are you referring to is that the Learn Smart?
So this pink one is for the homework and quiz. The green due date over here is for the Learn Smarts. Hope that answers the question. This first sentence says there is no homework or quiz for chapter 1. There's just an orientation.
Oh, okay, I just saw that. I'm sorry. I was just looking at the empty slot and it was like, there's no due date. Okay,
Yeah.
I just saw that on the other weeks.
Okay, no problem. I'm glad you're asking, Janet. If you have that question, there's 10 others that are going to wonder the same thing. So please ask away.
So, Professor?
Yes.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Beatriz. The orientation video, we just have to submit like an oral information about us, or what exactly is the orientation video?
You're going to watch that orientation video and it's going to ask you questions that you'll just click and answer
Okay.
the question to. That's how I'll know that you've done it.
Okay, I thought we were need to submit to introduce ourselves.
That is the discussion post. That's the blue one, Betty, that you're talking about. That's your first discussion post. You do need to submit that by Thursday night.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Like you just added me today.
Mm-hmm.
You said it takes 24 hours to post, right?
Usually
in
takes,
Canvas?
yes, it usually takes about 24 hours. I would try back in a couple hours, but they say to allow 24 hours.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Anybody else have any?
Ulises said, I enjoy the compact schedule created because the schedule is condensed into a few pages.
Yes, I hope to keep it all on one page myself. That's what I've hoped for. And again, I laminate mine. It's always at the side of my desk here because it is my roadmap. It's going to cover everything we do. So if for some reason you have to miss Tuesday, you'll know exactly what exercises and problems we went over and you can watch the scheduled lecture. I would say I probably cover 90% of everything on here. There might be a time where we might miss a question. There may be some that are too repetitive, so I might do 1 instead of 2, things of that nature, but we pretty much follow the schedule. Any other questions? Okay, then let's take a look at chapter 1. Now, I realize that most of you haven't read it because most of you have not yet gotten your Connect access. Chapter 1 is very short, and this is on the handout. So let me go back and show you where all the information for each chapter is located. You're going to go to the modules link, like I'm doing, and you're going to read through this introductory module, which I hope you've done by now. If you haven't, make sure you take care of that. Here is chapter 1. So next time when you guys come back, I want to see these chapter 2 things downloaded. So right now, because you're brand new to this, I went ahead and downloaded the chapter 1 handout. We're going to go over it shortly. And then if you're a visual learner, I would highly encourage you to look over these PowerPoints. Sometimes I'll use them in class, sometimes I won't, but they're there for you to review. Chapter 2, remember, is the most important chapter of the whole semester, chapters 2 and 3. So by the time you guys come back to class, I want to have the handout up on your screen, And most importantly, I want to have these Excel files downloaded. The Excel files are where I've copied all of the problems from the book and where we're going to be working out the examples together. So that's what I mean when I say be prepared for class. So for the little bit of time that we have left, we're going to take a look at the chapter 1 handout, and then I'm going to show you a short video on careers in accounting because the book's pretty boring and I thought the video would be a better way to get that across. So if you're looking for this, you want to be in the modules link, scroll down to chapter 1, and I have the chapter 1 handout pulled up. I got to go back and find it now. Here it is. So these handouts are my way of trying to take a book and just summarizing it into 1 or 2 pages. I call it like almost like a legal cheat sheet here. So here's what all textbooks start off with. Every textbook I've ever seen on accounting starts off with this. Accounting is the language of business. Okay, what the heck does that mean? It means that every single company that you drive by on your way home, every little plumbing company, again, I have a plumber here today, every little company that you can imagine has to have an accounting system in place to track the financial information. And if there's anything you write down, there's 2 things I want you to write down today as we take notes. Accounting systems do this. So this is something I would write down, or you can take a snapshot of it if you want. Accounting system records, classifies, summarizes information, and then we have to interpret and communicate the information. This is what the whole cycle of accounting is about. So when you read chapter 1, and chapter 1's very short, I want you to focus on the process of accounting, those 5 things that all accounting systems have to do. And then the second thing we're going to focus on when I scroll down the handout in a moment is the rules and guidelines that are going to generate or guide what we do in here is called GAAP. And I'll show you that farther down in the handout. Those are the 2 main things I want out of chapter 1. Accounting is a process of recording, classifying, summarizing, interpreting, and communicating the data. And then later on in the handout, we'll talk about what GAAP, G-A-A-P, is. So here's some of the things. I want you guys, when we do this class, throughout the class, I want you to picture yourself running a business or working for a business. In other words, think about your favorite store, and mine would either be the 99-cent store or Target. Okay, again, I'm frugal. My husband calls me cheap. I'm frugal. I like good deals. And so those are 2 places that I like to go. So as we start talking about how would you record sales, or even think of yourself in a hair salon or a barber shop, how would the owner of that barber shop know how much money came in and how much money went out? How would they know what their cash balance is? How would they be able to prepare a tax return? All of this is going to come back to an accounting system. So think about yourself owning a business, one that maybe you've been in or one that you've always dreamed of owning. Accounting is going to be the answer to this question. So here are some of the questions that may come up. If I'm an owner, the very first thing I want to know is my business profitable? And profit's a word we haven't talked about yet. Profit means, are they generating more revenues than they are generating expenses? That's what we call profitability, when their revenues are higher than their expenses. Somebody might want to know, what does the business own? We'll learn in the next chapter that assets are things that a business owns. And then many students, myself also, how much do you owe other people? We don't like to think about how much money we owe to other people, but those are liabilities and they're going to become important. How much money did I spend? I was just talking to my husband about this last night. How much money have I spent on gasoline, right? Gasoline prices have spiked. How much money, and this is where I put my head down between my legs, how much money have I spent on Starbucks in the past month? Is it important to track that? Absolutely, because if I want to make decisions about where I want my money spent, I need to understand how it's coming in and how it's going out. And if I find that $300 is too much to spend on Starbucks, I need to make a change in behavior so that I can put that money to better use. How much do you owe for taxes? I don't want to be getting a big bill for income taxes the day before they're due. I want to know that on a consistent basis so I can set aside enough money to pay those taxes. And how am I going to be able to expand my business? What if I want to move and double the number of hair stations I have in my beauty business, right? Then I need to prepare for that. I need to forecast and budget. And then the chapter talks about users of accounting. And I think that's fairly straightforward. So I'm going to let you read about that. Let me stop and breathe for a second. Giselle, you want to check the chat room?
Ulisa said, my initial reaction to this class can be said in one word, enthralling. And he also said, mindfulness is key.
Mindfulness is key in everything we do. Mindfulness is important in overcoming an addiction, like a Starbucks addiction that came back to me during COVID. We need to be mindful about how we spend our time. All right, here's the second thing I want written down in your notes. Accounting rules. Everything we do in here is going to be in accordance with GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. Okay, I guarantee you'll see something about that on the first test. Generally accepted accounting principles. That's the set of rules and guidelines that guide everything we do in here. They're going to become very important to us during the semester because think about if you got out on the road and there were no rules, right? If we got out in traffic and there was no rules as to how people would drive, we'd have people driving on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. We'd have people going down one-way streets the wrong way. We'd have all kinds of pandemonium. And so in accounting, what we do is we set rules up where how certain transactions are going to be recorded. For example, if I have an accounting business and I have somebody give me a $5,000 deposit, maybe I'm going to do some tax returns, and they give me a $500 deposit, 5,000, 500, 5,000, doesn't matter. How do I record it? Do I record it when I get the cash? Do I record it when the work is done? Do I record half of it when half the work is done? How do I record things like that? So if everybody followed their own rules, then the financial statements would not be comparable. And one of the fundamental rules of accounting is that information needs to be consistent and comparable from year to year. And so GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, is going to tell us how to do that. And when you read chapter 1, you'll see how GAAP is set up. It's set up by the Financial Accounting Standards Board. There's input that goes along the way. So I want you to read about that. I don't know what that noise in the background is. Some kind of maybe the plumber's doing something. And then as far as careers in accounting, rather than read a boring book about that, or rather than read a boring handout about that, I'm going to show you a short little video that's going to preview some things in the accounting profession. Most people, I think, have that initial image of what I had of being a nerdy father figure with big Coke bottle glasses that just sits around and snorts all day. That's my envision picture of an accountant. But accounting jobs are everywhere. They're in professional sports. They're in the FBI. They're in film producers. Everybody has accountants. So I'm going to show you a short little video, and I do have a video link on my website if you want to watch this again. I doubt you'll want to watch it again. But let's go ahead and see if I can pull that video up. Oh, I hope I didn't lose it. If I lost it, I'll have to go back and get it. All right, so let me go find it again. I'm going to go back to my regular web page since I lost it. And someplace down here, I have videos, accounting videos. All right, here it is. I'll turn it up. It's short and it's better than reading the book or my handout.
Not even close. Not even close.
People do not think I'm a CPA. They are totally surprised.
They were stuffy old people.
Your friend's geeky father.
I'll show you 500 FBI CPAs, and there are no nerds.
The old stereotype of someone just sitting there crunching numbers, that is such a small part of the job. It's a great gig. My dream job has always been to work for the Giants.
We do litigation consulting.
I'm the assistant controller at Lucasfilm.
At Geffen Records.
Commercial Bank and Union Bank of California.
Controller for the San Francisco 49ers.
Special agent for the FBI, which means I'm a sworn law enforcement officer. I carry a gun and am trained in the use of weapons and tactical operations, and I'm a certified public accountant, CPA.
We are detectives in a financial sense.
As an accountant, you're dealing with some fairly complex technical issues.
You're trying to take a whole lot of information and summarize it into a one-page document that someone can look at and understand and get an answer from.
It's a very wide career. It's a lot more than just what we normally think of an accountant as being.
As a marketing planner, I'm basically responsible for all the marketing, determining all the marketing costs that each of our artists get.
I do all the baseball reporting for Major League Baseball.
My first job out of school, I worked for the Joint Legislative Audit Committee for the state of California, and I was an auditor.
Supervise payroll, manage money, and you got to manage a lot of money in a baseball organization. I have to account for all of this.
One party has sued another party. We try to trace, reconstruct what happened.
We do a lot of work with the athletes.
Fraud, cybercrime, intellectual property fraud, public corruption. My responsibilities in the broader sense are to protect the United States.
Being a part of one of 32 NFL teams is incredibly exciting.
It's great to go see a movie and see your company's name come up on the screen and think, you know, I work for that company. I was part of getting this movie produced.
Basically, I recommend or make loan decisions up to $50 million.
The attorneys need an accounting expert or consultant to assist in assessing the case. That would entail testifying in depositions and in court.
Marketing basically includes everything from artist development, making the artist pretty, for the photo shoots, giving them press, video. I'm responsible for making sure we have the money for it, but not only we have the money, but we're making smart decisions.
From a film standpoint, we work with the production accountants who put together their actuals versus their production budgets so that producers can see how they're doing during their production schedules.
You're typically dealing with the people who are leading society, either in the form of arts, of manufacturing, and science, journalism, and government. You meet these people because they seek you out.
In your heart, you know, boy, this is really interesting work, and you know, no two cases are the same.
There's not a typical day for a CPA in the FBI. We'll be out many hours doing surveillances. I'm identifying key pieces of evidence that we're going to use in the case against the bad guys.
It's a very fast-paced environment to work in, but it's very casual. As you can see, I'm wearing my jeans and my t-shirt. Getting my foundation within accounting has really been beneficial to my career.
Having your CPA gives you a huge advantage over other people in the accounting industry that don't.
That foundation in accounting allowed me to go wherever I wanted to go. I mean, it sounds kind of corny, but it really is the language of business.
If you have that skill set of accounting, you can venture off into many areas.
My job is to really see that it all comes together in a coordinated unit. But as I joke around, my job is really just to go to parties and meet people.
There's a lot of perks.
Part of a relationship and part of business development is entertaining.
National League champions in 2002, and the entire front office staff got rings. I'm waiting for my World Series ring.
We take them to dinner, we take them to lunch, we go to sporting events.
I think I saw 65 home games last year.
It allowed me to put together a couple of things that I really like. Being physically fit and not being stuck in an office all day was a big attraction for me.
The environment here was just unbelievable. It just, every day brings something new. It's never repetitive.
I come in, I use our gym facilities downstairs, which is one of the nice perks of working here before the players get in. We have a fabulous gym.
Our primary product is music, so we get to play our music really loud.
I get to watch all the, the videos that our artists are on, meet artists and be involved in the up and up.
We get to see movies, usually the weekend that they open in a local movie theater, private screening for the employees. Sometimes you get to see celebrities.
Personally, I think coming to the ballpark every day is a perk. I mean, I have to come to the ballpark every day.
And I have friends who are very envious of where I work and what I do.
I took my first accounting class in high school. They offered an elective, and I learned how to keep the books of a small sales company, and I thought, this is kind of cool.
In high school, I was introduced to an internship program.
I didn't always know that I wanted to be in accounting. I actually, accounting just kind of happened.
I was an accounting major because I thought it would be good preparation for the law degree. And as I got deeper into it, I realized that the opportunities were much more dynamic, much better in accounting than what they were in law.
And I knew that accounting, there's always going to be career opportunities in accounting. So I was looking for really consistency and, job availability.
It could be any kind of business in a baseball team, in a football team, in a concert promoter. Every single business has to have accountants.
You do have to enjoy math to a certain extent, but you don't have to be a math whiz.
It's all about relationships. It's about understanding how their business works and being able to communicate that. Writing skills, reading skills are extremely important.
Someone who is a really good problem solver does really well in the accounting field.
Try an accounting class is one of your base courses. If it's something that is okay, it's not, most people either love it or hate it. If you hate it, move on. But if you like it, and it's not that hard for you, that first accounting class, then you might have just what it takes to be the right type of person to go into accounting.
One of the things to really be successful in accounting is you have to really want to be able to help people.
You have to be able to be yourself, number one. You can't put it on. And then number two, you've got to be able to communicate with those people and communicate clearly. That was good.
That's one thing actually about getting your CPA. There is definitely an advantage.
If there's somebody who just likes to accept the same old, they shouldn't get into accounting. If they want something that's going to be challenging them every day, I think they should get into it because the personal, the professional, the economic rewards are just, I think, would surprise many people.
Okay, so let me stop this. That is a little bit about what you can expect from accounting careers. That's the last part of what chapter 1 covered. Does anybody have any questions on anything we've mentioned today? Again, everything for this class is in the modules link. So if you're wondering, where do I get the material from? Go to the modules link and start reading from the top. So today talked about getting Office 365. Take care of that today because you'll need that to download the Excel files for tomorrow. We talked about registering on the Connect site and getting that ebook access. It's available for $77, or you can get the free trial one for 2 weeks. There is an orientation video that I posted that I want everybody to watch. It just kind of gives you an overview of the class. My virtual office hours are listed, as well as Giselle's. I'm going to list Giselle's today as soon as I confirm them. There's information about food insecurities and other things that I want you guys to read about on this link. My YouTube channel is listed in case any of you want to subscribe to see the different videos there. And there's an opportunity, if you guys are at all considering becoming a business major, there is free membership in the Cal CPA and AI CPA. If you're even thinking about having career as an accountant, I would encourage you guys to sign up for those. I pay hundreds of dollars for that each year. You guys are able to get free membership. When you guys come back tomorrow, here's your homework. I'll write it down in a moment. I want you to read chapter 1 and chapter 2. If you don't, for some reason, have access to the book, you can go and read the PDF printouts that are available on my website. 1 is very quick. You saw that there were 2 major things I wanted you guys to understand out of chapter 1, and I had you write them down. 1 was what accounting consists of, that classifying, recording, summarizing, that thing. And then GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. And then more importantly, I want you to read chapter 2. Read chapter 2. We're going to be building the foundation in our next class. It's either going to set you up for success or it's going to set you up for failure. So we want you to spend time reading chapter 2 before you come back to class. Before you come back to class, open up these Excel files and be ready to work on them. So let me stop, ask for questions, and then we'll go make a to-do list, what I want you to do before tomorrow. But first, I want to take any questions. Okay. Giselle, was there one more chat comment?
Diego just was saying thank you.
Okay, no problem. So to-do list, get on to Connect. I need you to get registered. The way you're going to do that is through the assignments link. You saw a video on it. Basically, when you click on that first assignment, it's going to launch and you're going to have the opportunity to either buy the book if you have the funds right now, the ebook with Connect Access, or you can use that 2-week free pass. But one way or the other, I need you to get onto Connect. Next thing I want you to do, post on the first discussion post. It is due by Thursday night. If you don't do this, I assume you're not interested in the class and I'll go through and clear the roll. I'll drop you. But we're going to have some fun with our classmates. We're going to learn about each other and you're going to have some fun guessing what the untruth is that they're posting. I want you to read chapter 1. It's short. I want you to do the first assignment. It's a video orientation, I believe. We'll go take a look at that before we leave today. And then most importantly, I want you to read chapter 2, the most important chapter in the whole book. So don't worry if you're confused when you read it. I totally expect that. My job as your instructor is to come back in here and after talking about it and working through it, then you'll go home and do your homework. And that's the way we learn. We learn by making mistakes. I know I've made my fair share of them. That's how we prepare for the game, using that athlete, because I have a lot of athletes in the family. That's how we prepare for game day. That's how we prepare for test day. We go out and we practice and we make mistakes and we learn how to do it correctly. And then when game time or test day shows up, we're ready to hit the ball out of the park. So there's your to-do list. There's your marching orders. Get on Connect, get registered through the assignments link, go do your first discussion post, meet your classmates. You can also finish it up. If you would like to reply to 2 others, then you'll have the discussion post finished. Read chapter 1. It's very short. There's 2 major focuses out of that chapter. We went over that today. Do your first video orientation assignment. I'm going to go show it to you before I leave. And then lastly, if at all possible, before you come back in the live Zoom room, read chapter 2 in the book. It is the most important chapter. 2 and 3 are the most important chapters we're going to cover. There's your marching orders. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, let me stop sharing then. I need to start sharing one more time. Let's go look at that assignments link so we're all clear on what's due. Give me one more second to find it, get out of this Word document. Okay. Assignments link. I want to show you guys specifically.
Elisa's asked. Oh, can you hear me, Professor?
Yes, go ahead.
Elisa's asked if it would be fine to complete all tasks of each week early.
Yes, ma'am. Nothing to stop you from working ahead. I love people that work ahead. Okay, so when I hit the assignments link, this is the orientation video that I'm talking about. It's due tomorrow night. I would encourage you guys to do it tonight if at all possible. It's not going to take you too long. It's 10 easy points. How will I know that you've done it? They're going to ask you certain questions throughout the video. You'll answer those. I'll automatically get the grade book. And when I looked at the grades earlier today, I did see that many of you have already done it. So that's awesome. And here's that first discussion post as well in the assignments link. if I don't hear any questions, I'll give you another moment or two. Then I just want to tell you, I'm excited to get started on this journey. I have a bigger picture in store for you than I think you may have for yourselves. I want to teach you guys about money. I want you to be able to accumulate wealth, not simply by getting a 9-to-5 job, because unless you're a Bill Gates or Elon Musk, that's not going to help you accumulate the kind of wealth I think most of you want to accrue. I'm going to teach you how to invest in other companies. My closing remark is going to be this. If you go and you look up any publicly held company, and I'm just going to use Yahoo Finance. There's lots of sites out here, but I'm going to use Yahoo Finance. And what comes to mind is Home Depot. And why that's coming to mind, it's right across the street from the school. So I just happened to pick that totally randomly today. Let me pick Home Depot's financial statement up. And it's HD, I just saw was the ticker symbol. And if I showed you this page, would you know what these things mean? Most of you, the answer is probably no. My goal is in your accounting journey at Cerritos College, I want you to understand what every single one of these things mean by the time that you're done. So right now, what this means is Home Depot, one share of stock is selling for $316.73. You just saw it change. That's $1 higher than it was yesterday. And it's about 0.3% higher than it was yesterday. Well, you might be saying, well, I don't have $316. Okay, let's go look at Michael's if they haven't sold out yet. It's MK. Michael's just sold, so it may not be there. How about Starbucks? Let me go look up another company that you might have an interest in. Starbucks is selling, I think it said at $112.28. Look, since yesterday, one day, since yesterday, this is selling 1.2% higher since over one day. Most of us can't make that in our savings account in a whole year. So that's the bigger picture as to why I want you guys versed in how stocks are valued and what accounting can show you. So any questions, just bigger picture, think, how can I use this information to better myself financially?
Elisa's asked, which brokers do you use to invest?
I use Ameritrade, which is now, I think, TD Ameritrade, but there's many investors out there. I like them because they have no fees and because they have some pretty good research tools available on their website. Cost me $0 to trade. Somebody in the chat room mentioned Robinhood. I've had lots of students, more than 100, get started on Robinhood, and they are savvy investors. Some of them I've had 5 years ago, and we still chat regularly about stocks. And it was on the business page this morning, unless they changed it. And then the last thing I'll let you guys know, and we'll talk more about this, you guys are Cerritos College students. You have access to a library, online library at Cerritos College, where you can read any business publication that your little heart wants to read for absolutely nothing. So you can read Wall Street Journal headlines. It doesn't cost you anything. You could probably find People magazine there. I'm not sure. I've never looked for that one. But our library has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of subscriptions that you can look at and address. And I'd highly encourage you guys to read. The way that I learn about investing, and I'm still learning things daily, is by reading. I read Forbes, Fortune, and I subscribe to Barron's, and I read Barron's daily because I'm always learning more about how investing can help me accumulate wealth, not just for me and my family, but I love to give it away to other organizations that are in need of it. So one of the ways that I become a blessing to others is by accumulating wealth that I can share with philanthropic institutions. Cerritos College Foundation, the food bank, is something I support. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that makes me feel good. So one of the ways I use my wealth is to support food banks. Anybody else? Thank you, Ulysses. I appreciate the comment. All of us have different varying degrees of what success is. I feel most successful when I can bless others with financial wealth, and I am passionate about teaching that to others. I never learned about how to do that because my parents didn't know. And so you'll see that I am passionate as the semester goes along about teaching others. Anybody else? All right. If you have any questions for Giselle or for me, reach out. I'll be in my office hours tomorrow morning. I'll be reading emails throughout the day. I'll be replying to emails as quickly as I get them. I do babysit. I have a new, well, not new, he turned 1 year old yesterday. I have a grandson that I love to spend time with. And so if I'm babysitting him, I can't answer emails like that, but I definitely will get back to you. Okay.